All right, so you posed an interesting question today on Twitter, and your Twitter is at Worldwide Fresh, WORL. You asked, what's the best NBA basketball nickname, or what's your favorite NBA nickname? Because I know you said Allen Houston,
right?
H2O,
right?
Allen Houston, word number 20, which is a good one.
And the shot was water.
Shout out to Allen Houston. Without him, the 8th seed, the Knicks, went to the championship in '99.
Think about it. That whole nickname come together because H is his last first initial. I didn't even really think about it that deep. When I heard the name, really, I just thought like water. His shot.
Because the shot.
But then
was
when you
water.
put it all together, Houston 20. I mean, that definitely makes sense.
Right.
But I think it was just with some of the best best hoop nicknames because Ray Allen was on the Knucklehead podcast, and of course, you got Jesus Shuttlesworth, and
I don't before that his nickname.
I mean, that's what the people gave him, so he said he accepts it. But his original nickname in high school was Candy Ray, because he had a sweet jump shot.
It's actually not bad, honestly. That's actually pretty cool. But
he said he left it when he went to college because he was trying to reestablish himself and be something else.
Definitely. But I thought that was a good question. World Be Free is my favorite nickname. World Be Free was already his last name, but that got me thinking. It's even better question than that. What's some of the best basketball names, like just Hooper names, like Hollis Price? Like, how do you top that as a basketball name? I know he didn't make it to the NBA, but he was a pretty decent college player.
Yeah,
it's like
Oklahoma.
How do you top Hollis Price? Or any first name Hollis is automatic Hooper name. I don't think I've ever seen a football player named Hollis, hockey player, baseball player, track. It's always a Hooper. Because I remember it was two in Georgetown, like an 8-year span.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
But just off the top of your head, can you think of another just? What's a good Hooper's name?
Real names, nobody comes to mind off the top of the head. Only Hollis Price, really. I can't think of nobody else right now. Nobody that comes straight to mind. I had to think about it.
All right, like I said, it's just an interesting question because once you think about it, you're gonna realize like, oh yeah, these dudes got like names where they were supposed to be Hoopers, like. And not the crazy names like the coldest ever down at LSU, but shout out to him because that is a cool name.
Cool.
Though with LSU wide receiver, his name is the coldest.
Oh yeah, the coldest.
Like, that's cool. That's his actual real name, and that just be a nickname. Like he got a name was like, okay, yeah, he got to be an athlete.
Right.
But it is a bunch of basketball players. It was like their name was meant for them to be basketball players and nothing else. Like hype, none of that matters. He got a basketball name.
Right, for sure.
And with that being said, I'm John W.
Fresh Hits.
And this is the Hoopers. In the middle of the conference finals, Phoenix up 1-0, Milwaukee, Atlanta play tomorrow. Phoenix has been basically running through the playoffs. They've only lost 2 games. That was in the first round to the Lakers.
They say they 8-0 since LeBron posted up.
Andre Drummond in the background.
Yeah. And LeBron on Jay Crowder laughing.
Yeah, saying he's stinking, flopping on him.
Yeah, they've been 8-0 since then.
Basketball guys, they gonna repay you when they can. Playoffs has been a lot of not been a lot of injuries, but there has been some injuries this year. It hasn't really determined the games, honestly. In my opinion, it hasn't made it for a worse product either. But Kawhi's out right now. James Harden came back with basically half a hamstring. Kyrie missed some games because of an ankle injury. The Hawks are missing DeAndre Hunter. Cam Reddish has been medically cleared. You see him on the court?
I haven't seen. No, I didn't see him.
I seen a little clip. He was getting some shots up.
So he medically clear, so that means he might play this series.
Yeah, definitely. I think, of course, basically everybody's saying with Chris Paul, even in he isn't injured, but he's in the health and safety protocol right now because of a failed COVID test.
Right. Yeah, he had a positive. He tested positive for it.
Right. So right now it's looking like everybody's saying, Milwaukee's the healthiest team, and that might work to their favor. But the way Devin Booker is playing, he seems to be a tad bit unstoppable. He had a 40-point triple-double, his first triple-double ever in Game 1 win against the Clippers.
They should be getting Chris Paul back, though, because he's been tested negative or whatever, so he should be back by Game 2, at worst Game 3, but I think Phoenix plays tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know for sure. I had to look. I ain't looked at the roster, but I think he playing tonight.
Yeah, I know he was listed as day-to-day, and I know Game 1.
Yeah, like you said, Devin Booker, they fine right now.
Right. I know Jay Crowder said Chris Paul brother, not Cliff from the commercials, but CJ, who said Chris Paul was basically sending him text messages from the home, basically relaying messages to the players on the team because he was sitting right there next to the bench. Chris Paul is the only player you would think would do something like that, right?
Right, yeah, I'm surprised they didn't have an iPad there and FaceTime them or whatever. But you said Jay Crowder said he was laying messages.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, that's cool that he, because you gonna communicate, want to be able to communicate, and clearly you can't sit on the bench. So to find out a way to communicate, that's cool. I would have been like FaceTime or something. So you sending messages, just have somebody on the bench with remember LaMarcus Aldridge, he was one of the first to have an iPad on the side. Just somebody have an iPad and he can that's the way he can be at the game with you. I'm surprised nobody thought about that this year. I guess I'm just ahead of the way.
Because they did FaceTime him after the game though, and after the win, he basically congratulated everybody. It's like say Devin Booker had the 40-point triple-double, his first career triple-double. Shouts out getting it in the first game of the Western Conference Finals. Stephen A. Smith said he's the next Kobe. Scoring wise, he's the next Kobe Bryant. Of course, as all know that he was one of Kobe's favorite players, one of his favorite young players. Everybody remembers the quote he told him, be legendary. Where does Devin Booker really position himself as far as the NBA totem pole go with this? Because he's been the spearhead. I don't care what anybody say about Chris Paul. He's been the spearhead leading this team. Where's he positioning himself right now as far as the NBA totem pole go?
I can't put him there with Kobe just because Kobe was the next level defender. He was always that. So I think that matters. If you're going to put Devin Booker on that level, he should, if you're going to compare him to him, he should be doing that part of the game too. And I know he said he might be him offensively. Right. Obviously you see it offensively. He's about his footwork and getting to his spots with Kobe. Obviously Kobe was a player he idolized. He plays in Kobe's. So he was definitely one of those ones that Kobe gave game to. Out of Devin Booker, of course, him and Kyrie was tight. He taught Isaiah Thomas, and of course he had all those players that he gave quotes to. Period, like Giannis, he told him to go win MVP or whatever. So I can't give. If he's just saying offensively, that's fair. That's fair because Devin Booker's been over 25 a game. 3 straight years, 26 this year. So obviously, I would say it's fair offensively. As long as he's not saying he thinks he's on his level as a player, he still got a long way to go to that. But as far as where he's putting himself in the NBA, I think he's trying to make a call for himself as the best shooting guard. I would say Donovan Mitchell is the best shooting guard. Top 3: Donovan Mitchell, Brad Beal, and Devin Booker. You could go Brad 1. I would go Donovan Mitchell 1 though, but Devin Booker is putting himself in that conversation, especially by advancing further in the playoffs than both of them. Donovan losing the second round, and Brad lost in the first round. And then of course Brad has his injury issues, and Donovan was kind of banged up this year himself. At least the past couple of weeks, but he's showing for sure that you have to have him top 3. And I know somebody might hear that and think, I left James out. I consider James Harden a point guard, so I don't put him in the shooting guard conversation no more. He's playing point guard, and that that is what it is. He's a point guard. That's cool. All right. So as far as shooting guards right now, he's definitely top. I would say top 3. I couldn't think of 2 other shooting guards better than him. Other than those 2, it's Brad was second in scoring this year, and Donovan averaged 26 himself also this year. So it's not like they no slouches.
No, yeah, definitely. Like I said, Devin Booker is definitely having a big playoff in his first time in it. And I think another player,
that's good to see too, because he is. I remember the quote saying, he tired of going home every summer. He said that a couple of years ago, and be in a position to step up. That's really cool, actually.
Nah, yeah, definitely. I know a couple of the unsung heroes for Phoenix this year in the playoffs have been DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, and Cameron Payne, who had a decent game starting for Chris Paul in game 1. He had 11 points, 9 assists. But I feel like DeAndre Ayton is probably, as Devin Booker's been their best player, but I think because of his play and what he provides for him, DeAndre Ayton has been probably their most important player because, he was in the first round, he was tasked with having to guard Anthony Davis while keeping Andre Drummond off the board while Anthony Davis was out there with him. The second round, he did have to go up and defend and try to get points against the MVP and Nikola Jokic. And now in this series against the Clippers, he doesn't really have a deterrent, honestly, that he's had to put in a bunch of effort against. Clippers tried to go small game one. He took advantage of it, grabbing offensive boards, like say rim diving, things Rudy Gobert couldn't do, and the offense just didn't think to do that.
He's way better offensively than Rudy Gay could ever think about being.
No, yeah, that's first and foremost.
And Aiden is their second best player. Like you say, everyone loves Chris Paul and what he means to the team, obviously. But Devin Booker is their best player, and DeAndre Ayton is their second best player. And Chris Paul has been helpful for them to teach them how to win and be professionals and make it to the playoffs, and just upgrading the team at point guard. I don't remember who said it, so I really hate that I don't remember who said it, but I think I might have been listening to Jalen and Jacoby. I listened to that a lot, but
get that Brown out your head.
No, all right, I gotta take it. But I actually think it might have been Zach. I'm just throwing a lot of names out there, so my bad. Cause I can't remember who it is. I've been listening to some people, but basically to get to the point, they said that Phoenix, which we all always said this because we used to have a conversation about this, but when Phoenix got Ricky Rubio, it made them really see like, oh yeah, because Ricky Rubio's a good starting point guard. Yeah. So it's like with him, you saw how much better they got. If, like we always say, if everyone's suspended, they would have competed last year. So with Rubio, you see how complete the team ran. Devin can score and then expand his game in other ways also, but focus on just being an option instead of trying to create for people. So then he can naturally be creating instead of trying to forcing it. Ayton was getting better in year 2, obviously, but good low post game. He has good hands, but I think he tips the ball too much. But he has good hands around the paint, and he's gonna finish down there. So they saw what the team could be, and then you get a chance to add Chris Paul, top 5 point guard ever. Mm-hmm. It puts you on another level, and so. Shout out to James Jones. They call him champ. He just won Executive of the Year. Obviously, he's tight with LeBron. So I'm sure he has some type of relationship with Chris Paul before, and competing against him to be able to, because obviously Chris Paul, even though he's older in his career, you still got to kind of convince him to come to certain places as they were trying to work out this deal with OKC.
Originally, they thought it was either going to be the Lakers or somewhere in New York.
Exactly, but you were able to convince him like, hey, you can come to Phoenix, and at least stay here for a year. We got a good team, so with you on the team, we definitely gonna make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But you book Aiden's getting better. We actually could compete, and they sold him on that, and it's just putting it all together because now you really upgrading from Ricky Rubio, who's a respectable player, but you upgrading from Rubio, and your young players are developing because they've been hitting in the draft. They stole Mikal Bridges from Philly. You get Ayton with that number. What they got? Number 1 pick, which he was a local kid, and a lot of people got on them because obviously Luka's in the draft, Trey's in the draft, and you got those players, and so it's easy to overlook what Ayton did, even though he's 18-10 as a rookie. Rookies don't do that.
Yeah,
not for real. So just that building that overall and seeing what was going to be unlocked with a true point guard because of it started with the steps having Ricky Rubio, and that's something we had always said for years. Just kind of started the transition for them.
All right, and just go back to drafts of past. Speaking of with Luka and Trey, of course, Phoenix at that time was even looking for point guards. Then I don't remember what year it was, but I think somebody messed a draft about drafting a point guard higher than he was supposed to go. But I'm not saying they wouldn't be good with Devin Booker and they wouldn't be good in either one of those players, Luka or Trey. But I think their style of play wouldn't really complement each other as best as it could, because even though they are, especially Trey, natural point guards, they are still like scoring type guards. Right. And that's just taking, of course you want more scores on the perimeter, but that's kind of taken away from what Devin Booker do, because they both like to kind of control the offense as well with their passing.
Right. I think Trey could work because I think if Trey played with Devin Booker, he would feed him the ball, excuse me, and then be kind of their second scorer. Excuse me. So I think Trey possibly could work. I don't think Devin and Luka was going to work. And I remember the coach at the time, he wanted Luka because I think he was a foreign coach. So he wanted Luka and kind of trying to run that lineup because Luka, he thought he was going to be a point guard. But I think Luka is more of a dominant, even though Trey scores also. But Trey doesn't have a scorer on his team to Devin Booker's level. So I think if he played with Devin Booker, he probably would defer to him more. And really try to play that Steve Nash role because he said that Steve Nash is his favorite player. So I think that could have worked, but Ayton is who worked. Sometimes it all just matters. Everything fits. Like they did need some size and a big, mobile big in the West that could defend at the rim, but then could still run. I mean, the MVP and the MVP runner-up this year were centers. So to have a versatile big is always going to have taller players are always going to work in the NBA. I know we all, people love that depth lineup, but Andrew Bogut was their starting center, and they played what's his name? That he left to go to Portland.
Oh yeah, Festus Ezeli. Terrible basketball name.
But you have those two players, and then you sign KD, but you're still playing. I think Spates, who has some size. David West has some size. So your size has always been around, and it's always going to be around. I mean, then Toronto wins a championship with Marc Gasol and Ibaka. I mean, the champion this year is going to be playing a center. Excuse me. Ayton for Phoenix. Other than the Clippers, since Ibaka's out right now, but
depending on the matchup, they're not.
But Zubac plays right, but they're gonna have to do it too. They're gonna have to play Zubac.
He's gonna play more now. Yeah,
Brook Lopez is a big that's gonna be on the court, and he's gonna play, and he's gonna give you buckets. Capella,
put a little guy on him.
Capella plus at the end of the day, John Collins is 6'10". I'm just saying as far as small player, 6'6" player. So size has always been present. So you can get a versatile big like Ayton, who's going to be good around the paint. He's going to be able to score down there, and you build on what you got in Devin Booker. And you always think, I can sign a veteran point guard with them instead of trying to grow a young point guard, because I think it's more growing pains with a younger point guard than a center, because a younger center will defend, rebound.
If nothing else, right?
The young point guard is trying to figure out how to handle the ball, keep his turnovers down. You got a young guard. So
now you find somebody.
And then Ayton being from Phoenix, sometimes like the player matches where they went. I think being the Phoenix kid, went to Arizona. It made sense. I think Luka could have worked in Atlanta, but Dallas franchise is built on a foreign star in Dirk, so it just made sense.
Right.
And then our players from that, Trey, he's young, he's kind of into the nightlife, he's into. He's not flashy, but he has his confidence, obviously. So he works with what we got in the cities. I really think people went where they needed to go.
No, yeah, definitely. I think, except Marvin Bagley in Sacramento. But that's another story.
Nobody needs to go to Sacramento.
I'm not even going to bring that story up. I might save it for another episode or for a different show. But go on to the flip side of that. In that loss, the Los Angeles Clippers, of course, they were out without Kawhi. And like I said,
he's doing everything he can to get back. That's what the word is.
Word. That's what's up. Shout out to Kawhi for trying to get out there and help his team get a victory. Like I say, unlike Utah and their big man and Rudy Gobert, DeAndre Ayton really took advantage of that small ball lineup with Nick Batum and Marcus Morris. Marcus or Markeith?
They got Marcus.
With Marcus Morris in the front court. Paul George didn't have the best shooting game he could have, but he was aggressive. He did make some tough shots. It just wasn't enough when, like, say, Devin Booker go out there and get you 40-point triple-double.
Right.
I'm speaking strictly as if Kawhi doesn't play in game 2, but what does Phoenix need to do to go ahead and go up 2-0?
For one, they're gonna, and they all alluded to it after the game, which is gonna actually make the Clippers have to use some size. You saw Boogie Cousins, shout out to Boogie, get more minutes than he's been getting. But what Phoenix is gonna have to do is they're gonna have to make them play to their size, because Ayton is gonna be on the court,
right.
And you can ice out. You can ice out Rudy Gobert, but like they said, I think it was Tim Legler. He was like, He's like, Rudy Gobert. Not only is you pulling him out the paint, but he's not gonna give you nothing offensively. Ayton gave y'all 20 and 9. That's just game 1. That's light, really, because he really could have gave y'all 15 rebounds, and it wouldn't have been a shocker. So,
right.
And then he's more agile on the perimeter than Rudy Gobert is. So, like, I'm not saying he's gonna guard no guards, but
he can hang out down there.
He can hang out and get back. Part of one of his comparisons, no disrespect to the Hall of Famer, was David Robinson, just because of how quick he was and how he can be on the perimeter and he can run back, he can run the floor and things like that. So you definitely got to make them. You got to make them want to play to their size, and then that means you got to really depend on Zubac and Cousins because they don't got Ibaka.
Right.
So that and another steady diet of Devin Booker. I don't think he's gonna get a triple-double every game, but he's very capable of getting another 40 and averaging 30. So, you give him that. Mikal Bridges continues to be solid. We'll find out if Chris Paul's playing or not, but either way, solid play from Cameron Payne. Shout out to Cameron Johnson, too. I don't think people got him credit. Like, when he got drafted, everybody was like, y'all gonna draft him there? I don't even remember what pick he was, but because everybody remembers Kobe White and his
I think
response.
it was 11.
He went, and everybody was like, you gonna draft him there? Because he was an older player, and they didn't know what he was gonna be, and he's been playing well for
he's a
Phoenix.
good alternative to Mikal Bridges when they need to get Bridges some minutes out the game.
Exactly. So, really, Phoenix just need to keep doing what they're doing, and they can be the first Phoenix team to go to the championship since Sir Charles and Thunder Dan.
Shout out to them. Like I said, back to the Clippers, who are trying to avoid a third straight 0-2 start in the playoffs in the series.
Oh yeah, this will be 3 straight.
I think I said when I seen DeMarcus Cousins get that dunk on the start that this should be a series he plays more anyway because they're gonna need him against DeAndre Ayton just to
at least to challenge him offensively because Boogie can't really move defensively. But at least Ayton is a more of a post player, big than So
he can box him out, like prevent some of those rebounds that Zubac gonna give up because he's not quick enough.
Right.
But of course, like I say, the Clippers, they might want to go down 0-2 because it's not stopping them from advancing right now. But you don't want to go down 0-2
without Kawhi,
right? Especially
coming back,
right? Especially without Kawhi, like so you don't know when he's coming back. Who needs to step up and really help Paul George out? Because we seen Terrence Mann have the 40-point game in the closeout win against the Utah Jazz. I'm not expecting another 40-point randomly just like that from T-Man. But who else needs to step up and just give the Clippers good minutes?
You have to definitely say for sure. First two is Zubac and Cousins, just because you're going to need their size to go with Ayton.
Right.
But you need Marcus Morris and Kennard to play well, I would say, because Reggie Jackson, he was 10 for 19, but he gave him 24 points in game one, so he's still, he's doing what you need him to do. Obviously, Paul George probably didn't shoot as well as he wanted to. He had 34, got 26 shots, but you like Paul George being aggressive, and he had moments in the game or whatever. But you're definitely going to need Marcus Morris and Kennard didn't play much in game one, but that's because he's not knocking, knocking down the shots. He ain't it's not even that he's not knocking down the shots because he shot 2 for 3, but it's just a matter of getting more shots up. Him only taking 3 shots. He's not getting to his space. But Tyronn Lue also played, that game was a quick turnaround for them also. I think they had 1 day rest after ending the previous series or whatever. So such a quick turnaround. I think you'll see a better showing from in game 2. But you just want to keep, you definitely don't want to keep going down 0-2, even though you've won 2 series like that. Phoenix will beat you. They'll sweep you. So,
right. They sweeping folks. They getting them out of there quick.
So you don't want to go down 0-2 to Phoenix. Right. You got to hold off as long as you can till Kawhi come back. Because I know the Clippers have looked good, but they're not winning the championship without Kawhi. And he can come back. And if he can come back, everybody can keep being aggressive. They can go to their first NBA Finals.
Right. And I know Paul George basically was quoted as saying, without Kawhi, he get to go back to his Indiana Pacers mind state.
I don't like when Paul George say stuff like that.
I feel you, but I get... Like I say, he doesn't. It's not a statement that he has to be said, but I understand what he means in that statement. He just gets to be the first option, and do what he gets to create not just for himself but for his team. He gets to do it comfortably, which means you had a conversation about the other day, saying about how the offense should be more ran through Paul George because he is the better playmaker. I think Kawhi averaged 6 assists this year, but Paul George is clearly the better playmaking threat, scoring and getting his teammates involved, whereas Kawhi should be able to focus more on getting himself ISO buckets and creating out of that.
Right. And just with Kawhi being the better ISO scorer, period, anyway, I mean, obviously you can't compare them to the two, but they're the most Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen comparison. And Scotty handled the ball as they ran the offense through Jordan, and that should have always been kind of the role of Paul George because, like I said, he is more of a playmaker than Kawhi, and Paul George has also always said how he's more of a flow type of player opposed to running sets. So if he's running the offense, he's playing more in the flow, while Kawhi has the mindset of getting to his spots.
Right.
So it always should have been more of that way anyway. Because you can run things for Paul George, but he told Billy Donovan out of his mouth that's not really how he want to play. That's not really his thing. So you put the ball in his hands and then you run things to Kawhi, and then that way they're both touching the ball almost all the time down the court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you can run sets where they both do touch the ball, getting some pick and roll in action and everything.
Right.
So on to the Eastern Conference.
It's not like Reggie Jackson is like that Derek Fisher, Ron Harper point guard. Like, he's a scoring guard, so it ain't like he gotta run the offense.
Right. Because he's clearly, like, a lot of the offense he runs is for himself, honestly, for him to get buckets.
Exactly.
But on to the Eastern Conference, where we had a couple Game 7s to decide this Eastern Conference matchup with the Atlanta Hawks and the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm going to start the Milwaukee Bucks and Brooklyn Nets Game 7, which came down to an air ball by KD in overtime. Did you see the quote about the fourth quarter shot to tie it up?
Yeah, but he said his foot was too. Yeah, foot. He was on the line. I was looking at that when I was looking at it too, and I didn't realize what the score was when he made it, and I'm like, dang, his intention probably was to get behind the line. That's when I thought when I saw it. But he hit the shot to send him into overtime.
Right.
That was his last bucket of the night.
Yeah, so like he played 52 minutes, so of course
53 played the whole game.
I was saying 52. Well, he played 53 minutes because he definitely played the whole game. In the last 3 games, he only sat out 8 minutes, and that's because Game 6 was basically a blowout.
Yeah.
But of course, as a hooper, once you get over that certain body limit of minutes and games played, you might shoot an air ball when you normally wouldn't.
Yeah.
Did you see the shot live, or did you go back and?
I went back and watched the shot. I went back and watched the whole fourth and overtime, and obviously he clearly was tired on that shot.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
But I think he could have got a better shot. I feel like he kind of went back to what the shot he made before. So shooting that turnaround, kind of reverse shot I think was tougher on those legs, and then it was defended well by Drew. I really think he should have just walked him down and pulled up. Like, I would live and die by that shot with him. We've seen him make that shot in the finals. But he also, which is weird because these are the best players in the world, but you can see the little tendencies that he wasn't on that side of the court where he's on the left side.
That shot, right?
Yeah, so that's not his normal pull-up area. If you notice, anytime KD usually pulls up, he's on the left side and he's walking down, the ball's in his left, and then he can naturally put it in his right hand. But on the right side, it's like he was trying to get back to that type of shot. And what's the game? They were down 1, I believe.
Yeah.
So, obviously you think you're taller than Drew, so you think you want to put a little size on him, but once you don't get the shots you want, he went back the way he did. Right. So, but if he would have been on the left side, he would have pulled. I'm willing to bet money he would have pulled up for the 3 if he was on the left side. Even with knowing they just needed 2. He would have been more comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. I think to those 2 points, I think, like say, knowing they only needed 2, I think a lot of that came down to he just couldn't make a move to get to the free throw line as well off Drew.
Exactly. And you don't got a lot of time to.
That too. And even before that, I think with like 16 seconds or so left, it was time because he got the ball down court and he got it to James Harden, because I think, and that was the decision to me, like, okay, he tired at this point because he want James Harden to do something, maybe help him get open. Mm-hmm. But James Harden kind of just throwing the ball right back. I think that also threw KD off to where he can't even get in his mindset to, all right, what move I'm going to make for it, because like I said, it's not a lot of time and you're not expecting to get the ball back that fast. Does James Harden hamstring, you think they have a lot to do with that last play where he just didn't try to make a move at all? Like I said, he basically got the ball and passed it right back.
Yeah, that definitely had a lot to do with it, because I think KD wanted to take the shot, obviously, but if James is healthy, I think he's being aggressive as far as trying to get a shot or get KD a better opening, because like you say, you do want to try and get an easier shot to win the game, and because I think he wanted to win the game right there, especially after you hit that shot to send it to overtime where like dang, my foot was that close.
Big ass shoes.
So you just want to win the game instead of getting fouled and maybe making one free throw. You just trying to get it over with.
Right. And on to the winning team before we get more into the Nets. Giannis had a big game. Chris Middleton had a big game. So I think Giannis finished with 36, if I'm correct, or 36.
In the closeout, he had 40.
Yeah, my bad. No disrespect. He had 40 and 12, 13.
Yeah, 40 and 12 or 13.
Chris Middleton had 28.
Yeah, about 28, I believe.
That's how you want to see him play. And at the end, they kind of basically stuck to the strategy that most people want them to see him go to. Let Chris Middleton create in the half court, and if you get some full court opportunities, then you give it to Giannis.
Right.
I think Drew Holiday had a bigger impact than he might have shown because his his stats weren't the best in a lot of those wins. But in game 3, he hit the game winning shot. Even down the stretch in game 7, he had a couple big plays offensively and defensively. Going against Atlanta, real quick, just getting a preview real quick. Going against Trae Young, they can't have Drew Holiday. They can't have Drew Holiday play that inconsistent. I'm not gonna say bad,
right,
but play that inconsistent. Even with being a great defensive player, because it might not matter if Trae's still able to get 30 and 10. Honestly,
right.
I know everybody get on boot holes about not making adjustments, but what do you think he's trying to tell Drew, just to stick in Drew's head about what he needs him to do in this conference finals to help him advance and put out the Hawks?
Right. Well, I don't know what he's telling them, but I think one thing he's doing wrong is for sure, especially if Drew's having a tough shooting night, is taking the ball out of his hands. And in the games when they won, you could see them not doing that as far as taking it out of Drew and Chris Middleton's hands. But
right,
those games where they was making it tough, they was reverting back to the old Giannis being ball dominant. Like, Drew is the type of player, he's not a spot up shooter. He's a player that he's gonna put the ball on the floor, he's gonna make passes, and he's gonna get to the basket. So then, even if he's having a tough shooting night, he can get fouled and get to the free throw line because he's gonna play good defense also. So in this series, especially against Atlanta, I'm kind of doing the same thing. Especially, even if they got Cam back, he's gonna be hurt. I mean, he's not going to be hurt, but he hasn't played in weeks, so it's like, how effective can Cam be right now? Obviously, he can add something. No DeAndre Hunter. So it's like, who's really going to be guarding Drew in this series? It's definitely not going to be Trae Young, but you can't waste, this defensively is going to work to a lot of their favors because, I'm pretty sure you're going to have John Collins is going to take Giannis. But in that start lineup, it looks like Chris Middleton is on. It looks like Kevin Huerter is on Chris Middleton, so maybe you are kind of left with Trae on Drew. I don't know who else I'm missing out of that starting lineup because it's Capella, Trae, John. So and Bogdan's hurt. So this seems like a series where you put the ball in Drew's hands and Drew he got to produce for you.
No, yeah, he has to produce, and I think he will. But back to Giannis real quick, like I say, he had a 40-piece in the victory.
Yep.
Of course, they advanced initially to the conference finals. He went to the conference finals 2 years ago, lost to the Toronto Raptors and Kawhi, who was the last team to put Philly out in the game 7. Before we get to Philly, that was a quick fact. What is it that you want to see Giannis do against the Hawks besides not be so ball dominant?
Basically, continue to take shots inside the paint. Don't let them off the hook by shooting threes. And other than that, the aggression is going to be there. It's just not taking them off the hook and shooting threes. Obviously, you're going to take in rhythm shots. I don't want them turning down shots, but just shooting random pull-up threes because they're not guarding you. No, that's not going to work. I would be aggressive. Hopefully, Atlanta's crowd, shout out to the Hawks, hopefully the crowd doesn't count like Brooklyn did because Giannis, I don't believe he missed a free throw after they started counting. Yeah, I think he missed the first one, and he didn't miss another.
It's like they putting rhythm into his
exactly.
routine.
Don't and at the end of the day,
even though at the end of the day,
these are the best players in the damn world. You gonna taunt the back-to-back MVP? Okay, I'm not surprised that he started making shots after y'all are counting because now you're making it so obvious, and now it's kind of disrespect. So he gonna give it back to you,
right?
Or whatever. So, if I'm him, don't be scared of don't be afraid to go to the free throw line, and I like his mid-range jumpers and his pull-ups more than I like his threes. So use that, and I even saw some jump hooks from him. He just keep getting more comfortable in the paint.
No, yeah.
Really.
And get rid of some of them hezzies and in and outs too when you just standing still. Nobody's falling for it.
Leave your trainer drills and come play basketball.
But on back to the Brooklyn Nets. Stephen A. Smith had something. He put up an interesting list on First Take. I didn't watch it, but it basically was, I think, the 5 reasons why the Brooklyn Nets lost. Joe Harris, Steve Nash. I think it had James Harden injury or Kyrie's injury.
What did Steve Nash do?
Basically, they don't. A lot of people was judging him for not using the rest of his bench to.
Who you gonna do? Reggie Perry
to relieve KD of some minutes, so he didn't have to play the whole game.
Who's gonna relieve him? Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot?
I don't know. This is what the streets are saying.
Lee Johnson.
This is what
he tried to play Mike James. He tried to play Chris.
Mike James has played since that second half in game.
Tyler
4.
Johnson. Who you taking out of KD?
Well, who bringing in for KD? Yeah, I don't know. That's what a lot of people are saying, and then of course not calling that timeout on that last possession, which
that was the right play. Then they get to set their defense. You're already tired.
Yeah, definitely. But I know his number one reason for them losing was quote unquote karma, basically with saying James Harden suffering his hamstring injury because of how he forced his way out of Houston with basically.
I do slightly agree with that.
I do correlate that karma. Hamstring. Yeah, not karma. Like Kyrie stepped on Giannis's foot. Like that's karma. Like like this is certain stuff is like. Just say y'all didn't want to see him win because y'all didn't want to see a super team win, quote unquote, and y'all don't like how they came together. But it's like KD and Kyrie was free agents. Like, what you want them to do?
Shoot, James got traded there. I mean, they could have. Other teams had deals on the table, so they definitely James' injury and more particularly, I would say Kyrie's injury, because James was already out since game 1. But I think with KD and Kyrie, that would have allowed them to advance. And then you do got someone else with the scoring burden, so KD can take more rest or whatever.
Just might like dribble the ball.
But they both would have still played heavy minutes.
Right.
But I think if Kyrie's out there, Brooklyn can still advance. But James' injury, I definitely think. This is a dude that plays every game, every year basically, and he gets hurt this year. He definitely came into the season out of shape, which I think even if you're trying to get traded out of Houston,
you don't
that you don't do that to yourself. Like, why would I even play? Which I don't know what he was doing or whatever, but why would I even do that to myself to come in not in the best shape? Or whatever. That don't even make sense. Right. So,
and I'm not even trying to. I think the last time he was hurt in Houston, it was a hamstring injury. I think he missed like 10 games that year. Like, I think it's all because James Harden isn't necessarily the most in shape NBA player already. Like, his game doesn't determine him being, in the greatest of shape. It's more of a slow kill, slow pace type of thing.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be in better shape, even if you are trying to get traded from a team. Going on to the other game 7 with the Philadelphia 76ers and the Atlanta Hawks, which the Atlanta Hawks won, even despite a tough shooting night for Trae Young. Start with the winners, of course. Kevin Hoyter, aka Kayvon, with the
not like the Kayvon.
You don't like Kayvon? You ain't rocking with Kayvon with the apostrophe.
He needs a better nickname than that.
Hey, John Collins said it first, so he didn't make it up himself.
Oh no, I know that. Yeah, I saw. He said his teammates call him that. But when he have a good game and stuff like that.
Like I said, he had the biggest game. I think he's really what helped them get advanced. Honestly, I think he was to Atlanta what Seth was to Philly. Looks like Trae didn't have the best game, but he had one of the better series and just one of the. I think him and Devin Booker probably two of the better playoffs debuts we've seen since whenever.
Right.
Of course, as everybody in Atlanta know, all stars, know all NBA, know all defense. We was never gonna have coach of the year. I wish we would stop bringing that up. We weren't gonna have the executive of the year because our moves wasn't all that, and we didn't really get. We started off slow. The Hawks started off slow as well.
Right, it was definitely up and down. Because I would say they actually started off good, and then it got bad, and then it got good again. Because remember, they started off hot at the beginning of the year. The whole team was there. It was like they were about to have all-time offensive rating numbers. Because remember, he had to win against Brooklyn, and then the injuries start, the issues start. More injuries, fired the coach. I mean, because everything really got bad when DeAndre Hunter got hurt as he was in the midst of having a career year. And then, the rumblings had already started when once stuff kind of, they started losing. They kind of reverted back to the old offense of, some of Trey's taking some of the bad shots he was taking, and stuff came out about John Collins saying they should move the ball more, and people took that as right. People took that as him, trying to get the ball because it's a contract year for him or whatever, and then so they fired Lloyd, and Nate, he was hesitant to take the job, and then he does take it, and Atlanta's had the best record in the East since he took over. So.
Right. No, yeah.
It was definitely a up and down year. Technically didn't have an All-Star this year, but we all know, Trey was an All-Star starter last year.
Right.
So, it was one All-Star on the roster.
Right, it is.
But definitely no All-Stars this year.
Right.
And I think Philly came into this series... First of all, I think they didn't take the Hawks seriously enough. It's a young team. Obviously, people respect Trey, but It's like, are we really gonna beat them? Are they really gonna beat us or whatever? So you don't take them serious. You don't take their offensive firepower serious, which, like, people showed up for them. Gallinari has some big games. Lou has been struggling.
Gallinari might not have another big game the rest of his career.
Right. Lou has been struggling, and then he goes off in a quarter and just kills you. Bogdan have his minutes. Kevin Huerter was unguardable in Game 7. He was He really was unguardable in that game. So it's like it is so many weapons out there, and then obviously you have the ultimate killer in Trey. Because I said, with him in Game 7, and really Trey had a good series overall, but he had a tough shooting series period once Ben was on him, because he's 6'10". What can you do about it? And Ben is really guarding him. So he still was obviously getting his numbers as far as getting 20 and 10 every night almost, because he was distributing the ball. But just them keeping it close, and Trey, I think going to the fourth quarter, had made one shot, and then they done kept it close, and now he hit a three. He hit 2 or 3 floaters. He made some free throws. He put the game away for them down in the fourth quarter, because Trey's not scared of missing them shots. But Philly don't take them serious. Atlanta steals 3 games on the road against the number one seed. I think that's not being talked about enough, to win 3 games on the road in this series, which was big for them, because you had to win Game 7 on the road, obviously. But after winning that first game, even with what happened in the end, they felt confident that they could beat them. I think overall I thought Philly had the better team coming in, and you can't even give them the excuse of Joel's injury or whatever, which clearly you seen some fatigue in him in the fourth quarter. But Atlanta just took it from him, really, and they showed them that they ready.
Right, no, definitely. And of course, Philly missing Danny Green down the end, but just
you lose him after Game 1, and that matters, because he's a player that guard. He's guarding Trey. And when Kevin Huerter's guarding off like that, especially after you decide to go bend on Trey, Danny Green is guarding. And because Seth was doing as good a job as he could do on Kevin. Kevin's 6'7". Right, he literally just shooting over him.
There's nothing
you could do about that. I'm 6'3", he's 6'7".
So yeah, there's only so much blame. There's only so much you can really give Seth for defense.
But even with the Gallinari game, when he went off and you put Seth on him, and I said that's something I would do. That's potentially, especially because even when he's struggling, you still gotta respect Danny Green as a shooter. So that's still potentially Danny Green moments, because he would have potentially been out there for defense. And in case if you do gotta do a cross matchup, he could hit the 3. So
definitely.
Missing Danny Green mattered.
No, missing Tobias Harris also mattered. I know he was out there, but missing Tobias Harris also matters.
He was out. I don't even think he had a terrible series, but the time that he decided to have his worst game of the playoffs was the worst time to do it. That 4-point game killed Philly in this series.
Yeah, it definitely. Like I said, even Game 7, he didn't really start hitting shots until the fourth quarter, when they needed him to make some shots, but he wasn't making shots consistently, honestly. And I think, like I say, Ben goes 2 for 16. Joel Embiid, him and Steph Curry did what they could do. But if no Danny Green out there, that's scoring you have to have, because Ben not necessarily going to score regardless if he's taking shots or not, which he took 16 of them. So it's like, I think Seth Curry accounts for Ben. Joel also accounts for some of those points as well. But it's like there was nobody to account for Danny Green and Tobias Harris points because Shake was real shaky. No pun intended. Tyrese Maxey only really played games 6 and 7 for real. Then after that, there's no other. George Hill, who I didn't know was hurt. You told me he was hurt early in the week.
Yeah,
he's not providing. He's not really providing you the best offensive minutes, honestly.
George Hill had the worst plus minus on the 76ers.
So I think a lot of that, and like you say, the Sixers not really taking them as a serious threat. All that, and having a player like Trey, just is a mixture for disaster, honestly. And Doc just not making the right lineup moves in those situations also killed them as well.
Right. Since we're talking about Doc, I think a lot of these, they showed the kind of their colors in the end of this series because I would say on Doc and Joel, because as soon as it was over, it seemed like they went to. They didn't want to take a lot of accountability. It was just a blame. Because, of course, Ben took majority of the heat for this series. For this game. And they're talking about what he does in the fourth quarter. Ben doesn't shoot quarter 1 through 3. Why do we expect him to shoot in the fourth quarter? That's what Tobias is out there for. That's why Seth is on the court. That's why the MVP runner-up who averaged 28 points per game is out there. But Joel can't seem to make a shot in the second half. And I'm not even putting it all on Joel Embiid. But if Ben isn't, because that's who it all has come down on. And it's mainly because of the one shot that he gave up. He could have got a dunk, but he passed it to Matisse, trying to get an and one. I think in Ben's mind, I think he made the wrong play. We said that while we were here live watching it. But knowing how he's playing, I think he looks at that like, I'm going to get him the ball. He's going to get an and one. Maybe it's going to be a dunk, and it's going to swing some momentum for us too. But Ben could have dunked a hard dunk, and that could have got them momentum also. So that's the counter to that. But just knowing the type of, like, if you ever watch Ben Simmons play, you know what type of player he is. The type of player he is he's gonna pass the ball. That's why he has, like, he I don't think he took more than 8 shots in a game.
Game 7.
And I thought he took more shots than he took, but he didn't even take as many as I thought he took in that one. And I think game 7 he ended up taking like 12. But that's why the other scorers are on the court. That's why it's been that way the whole season for them. But he's taking the heat mainly for it, and now it's nobody's gonna want to play him. And out of the start lineup, he had the best plus minus because he's also guarding Trey. He had 13 assists. No, he didn't play the perfect game, but even like you blame the free throws, he took 2 free throws. So, and he was 1 for 2 from the free throw line. So that wasn't even the issue in this game. I think in the end, it was they expected more from Shake and they didn't get it, and Doc kept going to him for some reason.
Until
like
game 6,
even in game 7. Like he tried, he should have went ahead and went with Maxey, and even in those moments when he was going with Maxey, he still was bringing Milton in. And then you got Ben because you want him to be more aggressive, but I just can't get over some of the turnovers that Joel was making out of trying to make passes that is like you know you don't make those passes yet. I mean, he had 16 turnovers in the last 2 games, so I think Ben is taking a lot of heat for this when it really should be spread out. And to hear, the comments after the game, like you say, we talked about how the difference between Ben and Brett Brown has been, Doc and Brett Brown has been the confidence that he seemed to have put in Ben and trying to lift him up as their point guard. But as soon as it got tough, it seemed like that went out the door for Doc. So it's like, it kind of came off in the end like it was fake, really. Like, it's cool while we're winning, but then when it's over, obviously they asked him, can he be a point guard on a championship team? And you're not going to say, yeah, but because y'all not going to the finals, but he could have answered that question a lot better. And then even, Joel with his answer, what everybody's talking to, what he talking about when the game swung. And the game swung, he says when, with that, when he didn't make that dunk, basically, he didn't say his name, but he was like, we could have got a dunk, but we got 1 free throw and then they made a shot. It was still a 1-point game. When you got the ball and threw it away to Gallinari, it was a 2-point game. You kind of gave the game away right there. The ball was in your hands. You're the leading scorer. You're second in MVP. Some people thought you could have been MVP and you threw the ball away. And we're saying that Ben Simmons lost the game because he didn't dunk the ball at 3:45. That one makes sense to me.
Nah, fan. It's like not just Ben Simmons. It's been plays like that in.
And Ben deserves some blame.
No, he does. I'm not. Yeah, no, definitely. What you did, the blame should be spread around. But like, how often do you see those plays in the playoffs where anybody makes that pass instead of dunking? It's like it was 5 minutes ago, and like y'all couldn't figure out anything in that span to get a bucket. Honestly,
right?
To like. I get it, like say Seth Curry who even though he embraces that, because I still feel like he plays with that hunger to prove that he belongs to be here with these players and that he might be better than some of these players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like
this is his first real starting role. So
right, and I think
consistently,
I think just in the playoffs alone, he exceeded a lot. I know coming into the season, I think me and you both said if he's just, he gonna be 6th man of the year this year. That's what you want from him out of Philly,
right? And he ended up being their most consistent starter. Really, the season kind of got hurt when he got COVID.
Yeah, no, it did. So it's like right, so. Y'all like say just to give all that blame on that one play is is dangerous territory, honestly.
Right, and now everybody's giving away the 24-year-old player that's made All NBA twice, been an All-Star 3 times, just finished second in Defensive Player of the Year. It's no value for that player. That's pretty stupid.
Right.
They don't think nobody who's gonna want Ben Simmons now. Okay, you think nobody don't want him? That's like when the Giants was called the Patriots for Odell Beckham, and they was like, oh, y'all trying to get him away? Okay, what y'all want to give him for? And then the other, I'm gonna end it on this. You want to give away the 24-year-old player, and you're gonna build. And I think Joel Embiid is arguably top 5 player. Definitely top 10 player. But he's hurt right now. He didn't win MVP because he got hurt and he missed a month and a half. That's why he didn't win MVP. Ben has been, other than, he had his injuries last year, and obviously he had the foot injury coming out of school, which he could have came back, but Philly, how they was running their organization then. Ben's been healthy, and he's been All NBA just as fast as Joel has been All NBA. He's been an all-star just as fast as Joel has been an all-star. You could say some of his game has been limited because he's not thinking be aggressive offensively at all, because he's thinking just pass the ball, just score. I got all these shooters out here. I'm going to play defense. Like, his goal this year is to win Defensive Player of the Year. But before we so quick to trade a 24-year-old All-NBA player for a center that we know is going to miss games next year for injury, I think that should be reconsidered.
Right. Just to break away from the NBA real quick, the Summer Olympics.
Shout out to the Hawks, though. I only got to end on that because nobody, I picked the 76ers to win, but to put themselves in the Eastern Conference Finals, first time since 2015. With this, it's like it's a young roster, but it's really not, because you got Gallo and Bogey's an older player.
The 2021 Conference Finals Hawks would murder the 2015 Conference Finals Hawks.
Wait, this year's team will kill? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Paul Millsap and Kyle Korver, Jeff Teague guarding Trae Young. Jeff Teague guarding Trae Young. Trae Young going to score 50 on him. Nah, shout out to Jeff Teague. No disrespect to Jeff Teague. He going to score 50 on him. No disrespect to Jeff Teague.
John Collins going.
But
hey, no.
The best is the best clip I seen on NBA Twitter, even despite their terrible takes on Ben Simmons, is the Hawks clip where they're playing Regulators, and it's the Warren G verse where they trying to rob them and stuff, and then Nate Dogg pull up, so they show Trae Young and they got the L's on the calendar and John Collins, and then when Nate Dogg verse, they show Nate McMillan, and you start seeing all the wins and everything. So shout out to whoever. It's some dope editors on NBA Twitter. I'll say that.
Tight. But like I say, just to break away.
You got to see the Kevin Herter one too. They start off with the Welcome to Atlanta, and then it switched to something. You just got to see it.
But now, once again, shout out to the Atlanta Hawks for winning Game 7, going to the conference finals to face the Milwaukee Bucks. Like I said, break away from the NBA real quick. Tokyo Olympic team is looking to be hooping this year with some of the players that have already committed to playing.
They thought nobody was going to want to play. Oh no, short off season.
Man, these dudes like hooping, bro. Like, so far we have committed Bam Adebayo, Dame Lillard, James Harden, Jason Tatum, Chris Paul didn't commit. I think Devin Booker either Donovan Mitchell didn't commit.
Right.
I think Devin.
No, Donovan Mitchell not playing. He said because he got an ankle injury.
But I think Devin Booker did, but don't quote me on that one.
Yeah, he was on the list.
KD, Kevin Durant, of course. I'm pretty sure Melo might throw his name out there. You never know.
Yeah, Melo ain't finna let nobody get more Olympic medals than him. Hold on, man. Hey, but y'all trying to get my scoring record and my medal record.
No,
you can't have both.
I can't. It was a list of other players. I ain't got my phone on me to look at it real quick, but this seemed to be a really. I don't think Greg Popovich. I think Coach Pop knew he was going to be coaching this level of talent players because the qualifying team was terrible. I'm not gonna lie. That was a terrible team. It was almost as bad as that 2000 bronze medal team, but that was the Olympics. That was qualifying, so they were worse.
It was worse than that team. This team was worse than that.
But when I seen KD, who also has one of the best basketball nicknames ever, whether that's Slim Reaper or Easy Money Sniper, because we also use that name for his nickname as well. I was kind of figured like KD, who missed basically almost 2 years, a year and a half of no basketball at all. Like, I know he gonna try to play as much basketball as possible. Like, why wouldn't he? And it's just like, this is gonna be a team they gonna go out there and they gonna be hooping. Like, I don't even know how else to put it, honestly. Like, I seen somebody, that's Canadian, talking about how Canada's gonna give them some issues, but it's like
Canada's gonna give who some issues? What? The United States.
But it's like, even with that being said, on a serious note, even though that is a joke, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Jamal Murray isn't playing. Their best player is gonna be Andrew Wiggins. They're not winning. I seen somebody say they were the second best team in the Olympics.
Hell no, they won't beat Serbia. Jokic team?
Who else on that team?
I don't know, but they were second last time. They look. They do. It was somebody else on the team. I literally don't know who. But they not beating Serbia. They won't beat France. They won't beat Australia. And Ben not even playing. And they won't beat Australia. Ben might not play. He's gonna eventually play because he told them that he was gonna play. So he
came back out. You just say he's not playing.
Some Australian money on the line. Ben gonna have to pay his debts one day. But they not beating old Mark Gasol and Pau Gasol on Spain. Man, I don't believe in Canada at all.
No, I don't either. I just
Ricky Rubio, Mark, but they might not do that during the NBA season. But we get on the overseas market.
Oh yeah, I just seen that.
Who Luka playing with?
Goran Dragic.
They ain't beating them.
Like I just seen it and I just thought that was funny because it was like Canada. Shout out to Shooters Pod over on Off the Ball Network, though. That's as I like to call him, that's my Canadian cousin.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's gonna be a real special Olympics team. I don't see anybody competing with the USA Olympic team like any other year. Like, we're probably just going to run through it again. And one other quick note that's not NBA that wants to be NBA, the Harlem Globetrotters are asking the NBA to give them a team in the NBA.
Why?
Professional team.
They going to play in Harlem?
New York get 3 teams.
I kind of like it now. They're going to play in Harlem.
I guess change the jerseys and the names, though. Like, I don't like.
Here go the updated roster real quick. It was KD, James Harden, Devin Booker, Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Draymond Green, Bam Adebayo, and Kevin Love for whatever reason.
Man,
that team
gonna box out and get some rebounds.
That team is gonna win the gold medal easily.
Facts. But
what was it?
Harlem Globetrotters.
The Harlem Globetrotters. Because I did just see the statement. I haven't read it yet, but why would the NBA get a? They only play one team.
I'm not gonna put. I mean, they like play like college teams during exhibition games. But
yeah, they do. Actually, shout out to all the semi-pro players. One of my teammates actually played for the Harlem Globetrotters. They don't deserve an NBA team. And he can hoop. Rashad Foss. He can hoop.
I just remember them playing like, playing college teams every year in exhibition games because they would play like Maryland.
Yeah.
And like mostly ACC Big East teams, but it's like
those are definitely professional basketball. Like, all jokes aside, those are definitely professional basketball players on that team.
Oh yeah.
They don't deserve an NBA team.
No, they don't.
They said the letter like, hey, y'all need to give us a team.
Like, it's professional, and then it's the Harlem Globetrotters, where it's like professional, but it's like a lot of that stuff is. I would say as far as revenue and fans go, like, oh yeah, definitely. But
Harlem Globetrotters should enter the semi-professional market to get an ABA team or one of those leagues.
No, they want to be in NBA. They want to be in the big boy leagues.
Like, maybe a G League team. Yeah, they can compromise there. It'll drop. Maybe you get some revenue.
Right, now facts. But on back to the NBA and the Eastern Conference, we're gonna do a quick preview real quick. What is Nate McMillan? What game plan do you think he's drawing up defensively for Giannis and Chris Middleton and the teams? Of course, everybody's going to automatically go, oh, he should go to the wall. But what realistic game plan do you think he's drawing up defensively?
Well, definitely Giannis, you got to go some type of wall movement because you want to keep him out the paint. So it doesn't matter who you're going to get to guard him. They could, again, you really use DeAndre Hunter in this series. So you want to make Giannis shoot as many jump shots as possible and then just make Chris Middleton take tough shots. I think Chris Middleton has a tendency to be timid on the road, and I mean his number shows he plays better at home than he does on the road. So
you're all starting on the road player.
Right, exactly. So you definitely want to make Chris Middleton dribble a lot more because he's one of those get to his spots type of players because he can shoot over.
He put it between his legs and all that. But
yeah, but if he get the dribbling too much, he's not doing what he want to do because he can shoot over you and he know he can shoot over you. So I'm definitely going with that, and the biggest killer is the Hawks offense because you want to make them compete with your shooting. If you knocking down threes and they want to come down and take threes, and Brook Lopez is the best 3-point shooter on the Bucks.
Brent Forbes.
Brook Lopez the best 3-point
Brent Forbes outscored Jimmy Butler in the first round, but that was finna be my next question with Milwaukee because we see the Hawks have the advantage in the backcourt with their guard play. And I know Devin Chinko's been out. I don't think he's coming back in this series either. Pat Connaughton has been getting some minutes. I mean, he always gets minutes, but he's been getting a lot of big minutes. He's actually been producing pretty good. I mean, your counterpart is Joe Harris, who's Casper the Friendly Ghost in the playoffs. Right. But he had some big minutes in the latter part of that series. Like I say, Brent Forbes in the first round outscored Jimmy Butler, and he's still shooting pretty well when he's on the court. Who is Milwaukee going to really? Because like I say, Bogey's hurt. We know they're going to try to keep Trey on who's ever the other guard so he doesn't have to guard Drew or Chris Middleton. So who do you think gives Milwaukee the best and most, who gives them the best minutes at the other guard spot?
Right. I think you're going to try and they're going to try and do it by committee for real because you're going to have to really go with Forbes and Cunningham, yeah. So you're going to need some big minutes out of them. But I really think you just got to... Milwaukee has to come in this series feeling like they're the much better team because, I mean, at the end of the day, Giannis is a 2-time MVP and John Collins is in his 4th year. And with no DeAndre Hunter, like, you're not putting Gallinari on Giannis. That means John Collins is about to be playing a lot of minutes on Giannis.
Finna earn that max money this round.
Basically, and you need Giannis to show why he got his money also, though. Because this ain't KD on you. This ain't KD on the other side. So there should be no question that Giannis is the best player on the court, even with Trey out there. So as much as I think Drew is going to be in a position to attack also, I think this is a series where Giannis should be 35, 36 points per game. Really, because who on Atlanta's really gonna stop him? Obviously, you got Capella.
I said they're probably gonna put Capella. They're probably gonna put Capella on.
If Capella guards Giannis better get 50. Capella can't guard Giannis, and you leaving nothing in the paint. If Capella's on Giannis,
I just think that's gonna be the better matchup because it's like we know with Brook Lopez, he's gonna be on the perimeter. So it's like, do you want to take?
Well, John ain't gonna get him. John Collins is gonna guard him.
Guard Giannis or
he gonna guard Giannis. I think he's going to be on Giannis.
You want Clint Capella that far away from the rim, though?
I don't. But I don't want him on Giannis. At least John is athletic. Yeah, Giannis not going to just dunk on him because he's getting around him. He might dunk on him, but he ain't going to just be running around him. He gonna have to body him. And then, I mean, John got the Julius Randle. That's why I say if DeAndre Hunter was there, he would guard him because Hunter was guarding Randle. So I know they would put him on Giannis too because he can put him on the perimeter, kind of like what you got with Kawhi.
Right. So,
I mean, Milwaukee should come in this series confident, and they might have the better team overall, but I got Atlanta in 3. 3 games, and then they're going to quit, so they're going to sweep them.
Right. Before we get out of here, I want to say this funny tweet I saw on NBA Twitter. I don't remember I know it for a fact it was a woman. I don't remember her name, but she said the 1776ers got eliminated by the Atlanta Hawks in the MLK jerseys on Juneteenth weekend.
That is.
I still want reparations.
I was gonna say that's good, but we still missing just something. But that's definitely a good. Hey man, you put on the MLK, you ain't supposed to lose.
Right. I think they've only lost one time in those jerseys. This year.
They lost the game 6 and Philly came and they won. They played.
No, I'm probably even before that.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's on.
Yeah, that's
not during the playoffs.
Yeah, not yet. That should just be their second loss.
Yeah.
But I had something in my head real quick before you said that, but I think that's about it for this episode. I know we ain't been here in a while, so we were just on here kind of talking a bit like we like to do, talking basketball. If whatever my thought was, I'll bring it back up on something later this week, probably on Twitter, probably on the Hoopers Morning around Friday morning. Who knows? But, my bad, this is what I wanted to say. Despite all the injuries and some of y'all favorite players not being in the playoffs no more, this has been a top-notch playoff. And if y'all open y'all eyes, y'all can have some new favorite players and shuffle some new players up in y'all top 5 and top 10, starting with Devin Booker and Trae Young. But other than that, you got anything else for him?
Yeah, no, that was it. But I also agree that people should be open when you're talking about the top players in the league, not just your favorite player. It's cool to have your favorite player, but when you think about the top players in the league, you have to respect what some of the younger players are doing in the NBA, and you gotta slot them appropriately. We can't, it's fair to say Devin Booker is the best shooting guard in the NBA.
Especially when they doing it like Tupac. All eyes on me.
I don't have him as my best shooting guard in the NBA, but there's an argument for him there. He's definitely top 3. It's fair to say that KD is the best player in the NBA. And it's fair to say that Embiid is a top 10 player and things like that. The younger players are around and they making an impact, not just during the regular season. They're clearly making an impact during the playoffs, even the ones that's sitting at home. You watch Jason Tatum, you telling me he not a top 15 player? You see Luka play, he not top 10? Gotta watch what these guys doing.
Oh, my bad. Gilbert Arenas says Zion should play shooting guard next year too.
Hell no. Zion is a center. He's a center.
You say he is centers. Gilbert say he. You know how totally different even just the fundamentals of what you do and think for those positions are. Exactly. That y'all are on the opposite.
Way opposite. Look, Zion is not a guard. At best, you could play him at the 4 if you can get a Brook Lopez type center with him. But Zion is a power forward. I mean, he's not a center for real, but then how they play in these NBA. But he's a 4. He needs to be setting picks. Like obviously he can. Obviously you're gonna put the ball in his hand at the top of the key and he can do his downhill thing. But you're not. We just seen Giannis get eliminated years after this, and he's 6'11". Why do we think a 6'6" player is gonna win a championship like that? He should learn now. He should learn now that he can do those plays. He can set picks. He can have some type of post game. Go watch some Charles Barkley. Just get because he obviously can body people. So you body some people and you get a little jump hook or you get a quick like Zion with a drop step. With how quick he is, who's guarding Zion's drop step?
Players gonna be dizzy after that,
right? Like who's guarding a one step spin move from Zion? He's dunking on you. He's not a guard. He doesn't like. I really hope he don't go down that train. Yeah. We literally have watched Giannis get eliminated year after year like that, and Milwaukee is so much clearly a better team when they aren't playing that way. And he's 5 inches. Zion is 6'4". 6'5". but Giannis is 6'11", and it's not working for him. Why would it work for a shorter player? Like, this is not high school. Y'all playing grown. Brook Lopez 7'1", and he play on the perimeter, and he will block your shot across the country. He's like,
I think it comes back into that old, because like I said, what the thing I like to give Zion for is he does have the potential to grow some of his skills. And I think a lot of that. I think people think he's going to be a better jump shooter than he's showing he is right now. And it's not even that he's not a good jump shooter. He's not even a willing jump shooter right now. Like everybody likes to talk about Ben Simmons not shooting jump shots. Zion didn't shoot any. I think he might have averaged like 0.13 per game. and a lot of those were air balls. Like, he's not a willing jump shooter either, but we gonna put him as shooting guard on the perimeter where at some point he's gonna have to take it, make those shots.
Right, and obviously you don't have to box a player in and say he only got to play on the post, but just thinking you just gonna put the ball in his hands and put him on the 2, no. Move him around, set some picks, back cuts. I would be working on his post game. If he can't shoot a mid-range jump shot, how is he gonna shoot a 3? Zion's not a shooting guard.
Right. But like I said,
shout out to him, 27 a game this year.
No, facts, 27-7. Like I said, we ain't did episode in a while, so we probably was just talking a bit there. But you got anything else for him before we get up out of here?
Oh no, that was it for today. Just as always, shout out to the listeners and appreciate the listeners worldwide. I was talking to this dude from Australia the other day, so shout out to him. We was actually talking about Matisse Thybulle, and we didn't even bring up his foul. Kevin heard of that. Also killed the game. That was the end of the game after that. But yeah, shout out to Australia. Australia show us major love. For sure. So shout out to Australia.
You know, everything down there can kill you.
Basically. So and just shout out all the listeners worldwide. So as you know, you can find us anywhere podcasts are available. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on Google, iHeartRadio. We're on Pandora Radio. And then of course every Monday and Friday, you can catch us on the Nothing But Net channel through the Dash Radio app. So all you international listeners, go to your phone right now. Go to your App Store or your Google Play Store for you Android users. We ain't gonna judge you. Just don't tell us that you got an Android. Go to your App Store, download the Dash Radio app, and then like the Nothing But Net channel. And then you can catch us every Monday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the Hoopers Hour. Then, of course, every Friday morning for all you social media users, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can find us on the Off the Ball Network's Facebook page. Shout out to the Off the Ball Network. And you can find us on the Hoopers Twitter page and the Hoopers YouTube page live every Friday morning for the Hoopers Morning Run. So, make sure you check out those two things. Hoopers Morning Run every Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Monday and Friday on the Nothing But Net channel through the Dash Radio app, the Hoopers Hour. And then anywhere podcasts are available, just search the Hoopers Pod.
And with that being said, I'm John W.
It's Fresh X.
And we are the Hoopers.
We'll catch you later, players.